Hi, Professor Jacob Cade, December 8th, 2019. So, eating a cheeseburger and its digestion process. First, you're going to start off in the mouth, where you actually ripping the food apart with your incisors or your canines and then crushing it together with your molars. This is the mechanical digestion starting. This is so you can break it all down and get it into small enough pieces to turn into a bolus. That can then pass on to the more later parts of the digestion. Along with the mechanical digestion, you also have chemical digestion happening in the mouth with the saliva that is being produced by the submandibular gland, the sublingual gland, and then the parietal gland, which is producing chemicals that are going to start helping to break down the meat from the patty and the bread and the vegetables that are on the burger itself, along with the cheese. After all of this digestion is kind of broken down and started into a smaller piece, it's going to travel down the esophagus through a propulsion of the bolus, and it's going to go through sphincter that's kind of not really a sphincter, but it is because it's part of the diaphragm that is wrapped around the lower part of the esophagus. And that's why people have heartburn, is because this ring kind of moves up and down in humans, unlike it does in horses and rats. Once it's into the stomach, gastric pits are going to help produce a lot of the future acid, hydrochloric acid, that's going to help break down the food more from the gastric glands. It's also going to be more mechanical digestion in this part, as well as along with chemical, because of the curing and turning it from the bolus of the food into the chyme, which is going to be later pushed down into the intestines. But in the stomach, it doesn't produce all of this enzymes and stuff. Bile itself, the bile comes from the liver, that then gets passed into the gallbladder, and then from the gallbladder in to the small intestine and into the stomach, along with the pancreatic enzymes are active to help digestion of the sugars, the proteins, and the fats that are within the hamburger itself. So after it's kind of been some of the absorption processes started in the stomach, it's going to be taken and put through into the small intestine through the duodenum. At this point, the acidity level is going to change, where it's more acidic back to more of a neutral base. It's going to be neutralized because, unlike where the stomach has the coating around it to protect itself from the high acidic content, the small intestine not as much. So as it passes in from the small intestine, the stomach into the small intestine, it's kind of neutralizing more of a neutral pH. As it goes through the small intestine, it's going to be continue to be broken down, but also mostly absorbed at this point through the duodenum, ileum, and the ileum. It's going to absorb all the amino acids and the lipid, carbohydrates, sucrose and fructose, that the body needs to essentially continue living and producing cells and maintaining homeostasis. After it's traveled through the small intestine, which is only called the small intestine, even though it's longer, is because of the diameter. Once it's at the end, it's going to pass into the large intestine, also known as the colon. At this point, it's not really doing any more absorption besides for ions and mostly water. It's going to be absorbed at this point through the ascending, transverse, and then descending colon, prior to it passing into essentially the second stomach. But at this point, it's the anus, prior to excretion of the waste product that has been kind of the very end of the entire digestive tract, and it kind of sits there until we find an appropriate time to allow the excretion of waste. Thank you.